tell you their names. It would bring my children bad luck if I told you.
Have you lost any children?
Yes, that's the way it is with us. Only the strong can live.
The Mursi's main crop is sorghum. It provides most of the carbohydrates in their diet. Their seemingly endless routine and constant chanting puts me in a hypnotic state. Time becomes irrelevant. After Nabali is done grinding the seeds into a fine flour, she adds milk or water and boils the sorghum mixture in a clay pot. Sometimes the mixture is allowed to ferment into a sorghum beer. The Mursi complete their diet with beans, milk, honey and meat. I must admit, the sorghum porridge tastes pretty good with honey.
After feeding her children, Nabale talks with Dutia.
Yes, it hurt a lot when I pierced my lip. My father got 38 cows when I married Banyese. My husband likes it a lot. Yes, I think I'm beautiful.
I wonder what Nabali would think of the kids in our so-called advanced society that wear nipple, belly button and eyebrow rings, poke studs through their tongues and wear tattoos on every conceivable part of their body. The Mursi's concept of beauty is so different from ours, yet just as valuable and worthy of respect. After a few days, I'm getting used to the lip disc myself. I'm beginning to understand why their men find it attractive. Nabali is very beautiful. Cultivation is the work of women and girls. Herding is for men and boys. Banyese, Nabali's husband, will tell you that he has 45 cows and 2 wives, in that order, which means Banyese is a wealthy man. Cattle is their currency. Not only does it provide milk, meat and leather for their clothing, it is also the only true measure of a man's wealth. A typical Mursi settlement consists of 4 or 5 families herding their cattle together. The Mursi will do anything to avoid slaughtering these animals. It is only done out of extreme necessity. But the cow's blood, well, that's a different story. It is prized as a source of great strength. To the Mursi, blood is the original renewable resource.
For the Mursi warrior, there's nothing like a half-gallon of hot blood first thing in the morning, and then wipe your mouth with dry cow dung. It's clean, absorbent, and available. Au naturel. During the dry season, the Mursi leave their villages and drive their cattle closer to the Omo River. The Mursi have an aversion to body hair. It's considered unhealthy. Both men and women remove all their pubic hair. The only hair that is left adorns their head. This is also one of the few remaining places in the world where people are totally unconcerned by their nakedness.
Banyese is applying a thin layer of clay to Ulbudong's back. While it is still wet, he uses the tips of his fingers as a brush to create a variety of patterns. The Mursi view the human body as a living canvas. Their art is designed to seduce women. Banyese believes that the paint on his face gives him supernatural protection. He wears it to frighten his opponent during the donga or his enemies during battle.
The Mursi have always been powerful warriors. One way to channel violence and settle disputes is the donga. Only unwed men compete in these duels to prove their manhood and courage to settle disputes over girls. To win, you just have to knock out your opponent. Your prize is often a girl chosen by the women. This is only a practice bout. The real duels will take place in the fall and become extremely bloody. It is strictly forbidden to kill your opponent. Should this happen, the killer is banished from the village for life. His land is...
There is a widely accepted view that indigenous peoples should be protected from the outside world, their innocence preserved. But my experience of the Yanomami convinced me that they were entirely capable of making their own decisions. My self-appointed minder, Shamu Prasiwe, known to us as Tapir, was so curious to know where we came from that now, 4 years on, I'm returning to honour my promise and take him on a trip to England. Tapir's village is 600 miles from the nearest small town, and the closest I can get by plane is a remote Catholic mission station at Plapanal.
The Mursi gradually become accustomed to Jean-Pierre's presence. A trust develops, and he begins to learn a little of their language.
Only now can I begin to offer some relief to their most basic medical needs. guinea worm infections and conjunctivitis are amongst the most common ailments here. Some aspirin, mixed with vitamin C and quinine, can make a world of difference in treating malaria. But it tastes awful. Despite their apparent good health, many Mursi die each year from malaria, yellow fever, and the sleeping sickness carried by the tsetse fly. In years past, the women carved their lip plates out of wood. Today, they are made of clay gathered by the riverbanks. When the carefully crafted discs or plates are ready, they will bake in the fire like pottery. One of the Ethiopian government's rare contributions to these men and women is criticism. The Muslim-dominated government doesn't like lip discs or nakedness. Whenever they come across these people, which is seldom, they try to make them wear regular clothing. And they tell them not to let the young woman wear lip discs. But the tradition continues. The young girls still go deep in the bush at night and pierce their lips. How is it that tribal groups like the Kayapo of Brazil and the Mursi of Ethiopia, living on opposite sides of the earth, share this unique tradition? Is it coincidence? Or could it be that in a very distant past they came into contact with one another, or shared a common ancestry? Could this be, even though the Kayapo are of Asian origin and the Mursis are black Africans? If these groups are allowed to survive into the 21st century, this question may be answered, but for now it remains shrouded in mystery. The longer I stay, the more I learn about the Mursis' values. Unlike Western society, they don't believe that real prosperity brings social harmony. These ancient people define paradise as a patch of fertile soil and good pasture. An abundant flow of milk, blood and honey brings harmony to their society. In other words, the harmony of man comes from living in harmony with nature.
But values have to stand the test of social reality. And for the Mursi, cattle are their reality.
If I have a Kalashnikov rifle, I can protect my cows and my family from other tribes. If not, they would take everything away, even the land. That is why I don't mind trading 6 cows for 1 Kalashnikov. It is because of no rains that we had to take this land from the Bodis. But today, the Bodhi are many, and they are getting stronger. They steal our cattle and food and kill some of us.
You are a guest. You must leave. It is too dangerous. We have too many problems, I'm sorry. I am Mercy. I don't know about government. Nobody comes here. No police, no court, no school, no clinics. I know only Mercy, nothing else. I live here, I marry here, and I'll die here. I believe in God when I meet an elephant on the path and kill it, sell the ivory and buy a machine gun. All that I get from God. I didn't work for. All the men want girls with the big plates. They're very nice, very beautiful. That's what we believe.
As the women fetch the water, once again I think of modern man, who takes for granted water and power at home, walks the surface of the moon, and builds nuclear weapons. And I wonder, who is more successful or happier as human beings? The kids' enthusiasm for a simple piece of soap is as refreshing as the river cooling my bones. Simple things make them really happy. While so many of our children in our society, with their toys, television sets and video games, we rarely know the joy of living intimately with nature.
The Mursi have no central political authority or real chieftain, but some men are listened to with respect. They're called Jalaba. They're usually over 50 and have proven themselves to be men of wisdom, moderation, and experience. Their role is to maintain tribal traditions rather than make decisions for the group.
As animists, the Mursi pour milk in the ears of their deceased. Milk is a symbol of wealth that is carried by their dead into the next world. They bury their dead wrapped in cow skins in front of their homes. Cattle are driven over the grave to cover all signs of the deceased. The Mursi believe that maturity comes when the heart penetrates the eyes. A boy becomes a man when he can see with his heart.
Implementation of a national park system is being discussed as a way to protect this environment as well as the tribal people and their traditions. The Mursi live in relative prosperity for the time being. Their land is still fertile, but they've cut down a lot of trees, so they're losing more and more soil to erosion each year. Unless something is done soon, they face the same tragic droughts and famines that we see in the northern part of Ethiopia.